Hi Stampers, it's Kathy Hamrick again with Country Road Stampers. Trying something a little different today, so we'll see how this works with a different direction. I had a customer just to ask me this past week about embossing, so I decided the best thing to do was, since I was trying all these videos, to put one available on my blog so she could actually go see what to do her embossing. So I'm going to give you about 4 different ways to use your embossing powders today. Try and do these quick, not complete the whole card, but do the technique. The first one is just plain, simple embossing like I've used on this one for the I Do Love You card. This is a very popular stamp set right now. Well, in my opinion it is, because it's got such large greetings. Let me get the stamp set and show you. It's called Big on You. Yeah, so very kind of you. It's your day. I do love you, and I think you're pretty swell. I'm actually using this at my stamp camp this month. 2 of these stamps for my stamp camps this month. Really, when you do a greeting this big, your card is kind of done once you've got that done. But let me show you quickly how to do this. Now, when you're embossing items, you need to use either a Versamark pad, and they should look, I want to show you the best one. They should look like this when you get them nice and white. Mine don't usually look that way because people stamp on the wrong ones, I stamp on the wrong ones, and they just get dirty over time and go much darker than this, but they still work. And you can buy refills for these. This is a watermark stamp pad, which means it's a very thick ink, and that's why you can emboss with it. So you need a thick ink like this, so the Versamark would work. We also have a gold encore and a silver encore pad, and both of those work fine with embossing also. You could use gold with gold powder, silver with silver powder, which would give you a bolder look on those. Generally, these are used a lot for words and greetings because they make them pop a little bit more. And you need an embossing buddy. Embossing is just filled with some kind of powder. I'm not really sure what. But this you take over a surface. It removes your fingerprints, the oil that's left behind from your hands. Especially in winter, it removes some of the static so you don't have flyaway embossing. So I'm going to just show you, first of all, the straight embossing. So we'll just take a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to take my embossing buddy and swipe that all across the front, like so. So I've tried to remove all my fingerprints. Now because I'm going to use a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to use my very ugly paper piercing mat because it gives us a little more firmness on these photopolymers so nothing gives. It just gives us a better image. And I'm going to take the I Do Love You greeting and I'm going to ink it up really good with the Versamark. Then I'm just going to stamp. Ooh, with the glare I can't really see it. Hopefully that's close to being in the middle. Then pop that right off. Then I'm going to move off camera because I didn't have everything where I could reach it. And this is my Cherry Cobbler embossing powder that I've just sprinkled on this. And I'm shaking that all off. And that was just my Cherry Cobbler embossing powder that I've put on there. So this is just a powdery cover that goes on this. So it has to be heated next. So you can hear I have the heat gun going. And while I hate it when people do this, I am going to show you how to do this since someone might not actually know. A tip that you might want to know also is if you take a clothespin and put this right on the corner because this can get really hot. And I'm actually using one of my old heat guns as opposed to my new ones. Let me explain. They're out of my building and I didn't want to go out where it was cold, so I'm using the one that I keep in my stamp room. Now I don't know if you can see that is actually turning. Some of it's glossy, some of it's powdery. And that's how you can tell if it's actually finishing. You can just see it turn literally as you watch. And our heat guns are made just at a lower temperature so they don't emboss quite as fast. They also are not as likely to burn your fingers. So that's why I keep this one in my stamp room so that people don't burn their fingers. So you can see there it is, nice and done. All shiny all across there. You can see the kind of shiny effect that it has. So that's just straight regular embossing. Done, easy to do. Next I want to show you this one, and I've taken 2 different embossing powders. I've taken the silver and our gold. I've done the same type of technique that I did here by taking the embossing buddy, clearing that, and I'm going to use the same greeting just because it's here and that will save a little bit of time. And I'm inking it up again. Then I'll just stamp. Then I'm going to take, I keep my embossing powders in Tupperware containers so it's easier for my customers to use and I don't have a lot of waste that way. So I'm just going to take this, a little bit, pull this in so you can actually see. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit. I don't want this completely covered. And then I'm going to tip it over right into the container. And then you can see I have some of this covered, but not all of it. So then I'm going to pull out my gold embossing powder. And then completely cover that. Looks like I got everything covered that I wanted. Gently tap it so I get any extras off. Sometimes you might just want to tap it a little bit so if there's any extra. And there you have it. See, I took my embossing buddy so I don't have the extra flyaway things. Once again, we'll just hit this really fast with our heat gun so it gets a little warm. And you can just see it turning right there as you watch. This is always one of those wow factors when someone sees this for the first time and powder turns to the shimmery stuff. It's pretty cool. So there you go. This kind of gives that multicolor effect with the gold and the silver. And you can mix it up with any colors that you like to get that look. The card I originally did to show you this is featuring one of our birthday greetings. I got it all done, and then I realized that Mellow Mambo embossing powder is retired and we no longer have it. So I'll explain to you what I did since I'm not going to actually show you that. The background is just the sprinkles from the stamp set, and I stamped that in Versamark, and then I sprinkled the two different colors of embossing powder randomly so that I got a variety. And then the balloons, of course, and the greeting were just stamped straight with the regular embossing powder and the Versamark ink embossed. So it just gives us a kind of fun look on that card. Now the next thing is called Emboss Resist. And you can use this on some of our DSP, the Irresistibly Yours DSP that I demoed with last week on the blog. Is you can use resist techniques with it. And that means wherever you emboss, the ink resists and stays off of that. So let me just show you that really quick. Same thing again, I'm going to stay with the same greeting. It's going to look a little funny in these two colors, but that's okay. Now, I probably could have gotten by without using my embossing buddy this round, but I'm still going to stay true to form. And of course I realized I did not bring my clear embossing powder. So I'm probably not supposed to do it, but it's okay. I walked off very quickly. And there's our white embossing powder. I made a mess because I was trying to hurry while you wait. Then we're just going to hit this. I see I missed a spot there, but I'm not going to go back and get that. I'm just going to let it go. Now when you do this technique, you have to make sure that all of your powder gets embossed. It's very easy to miss it when you're using this white, especially when it's white on white. So you got to make sure you get it all well heated. That looks like I've got it all. You can see that it's all shiny now. Then I'm just going to take 2 inks. This would be whatever colors you want, and one of our sponges. On this one I'm using Wild Wasabi, and I'm just going to sponge on here. And you'll immediately know if you got it all embossed because it'll feel gritty if you hit this in some place where you didn't get it embossed. And you can make this as dark or as light as you want. And I'm going to switch to the other color, which was crushed curry, like I used in this one right here. And just do this really quick. Same thing. And so you can see that the ink does not want to stick where that word greeting is at. But then that also makes that greeting really pop. Okay, that ought to be enough to give you the general idea. Then you can just take a paper towel, which I had one here, there it is, and just go back over this and kind of rub any ink that might be on there off. And you can see that really makes that greeting pop. So that was just using your Versamark, and you could use clear embossing powder or white, either one. I just like the white because it makes the verse stand out a little bit more. Then after you've heated that, you'll take whatever inks you want. And you can use a brayer. You could also take your blendability markers and just kind of color over these different areas, and it would still give you the same effect because that would resist where that ink is at. Okay, then this last one, I'm going to take one of our butterflies, which I already had cut out, and I'm going to show you how you can make this fun look, which makes this butterfly look really iridescent and shiny. We use this a lot on winter cards to give it a shimmery effect, and we call it the faux diamond dust. So I want to show you how easy that is to do. We'll start with taking the Versamark and go all over the front of this butterfly so that the whole surface is covered. Then I'm going to take our heat and stick powder and just sprinkle that on the butterfly like so. So that's all covered. Then again, we're going to hit it with the heat gun, and this is where this little guy will come in handy. Now on this, you won't really see this become glittery. You'll just see it turn from white powder to like it's clear, and then you'll know it's done. So this one's pretty easy to tell. Now, this is called heat and stick, because when you heat it, it makes it sticky. You have to have a layer of something under this to make the heat and stick powder stick to it, so that's why we used Versamark. So now that it's really sticky, we're going to take Dazzling Diamonds glitter, and I'm just going to go off the side here and sprinkle that on there, and you can see how that's just sticking because all that surface is sticky. So there you have this really shimmery, shiny, glittery butterfly. You can also hit this one more time with the heat gun. I'm not going to because you've already seen that enough in your face. You don't need to see that again. But if you hit that one more time with the heat gun, that kind of locks that in and melts it into that glue so that it sticks well. Okay, so now that gives you several different things to use. You have using your faux diamond dust, you have your resist technique, you have using your embossing powders, different colors, and you could use whatever colors you wanted there that's available. We have several in our catalog now. And then just straight embossing using a Versamark and embossing powder heat gun. Hopefully that helps you to get some great ideas that you can use and try yourself. Thanks for coming. Bye.